Anyway, let's talk about habits. First, let's use a definition. It's good to have a definition, right? A habit is a set of regular tendency or practice. I got this from dictionary.com. But they say, especially one that is hard to give up. Okay, now, do we have bad habits? Okay, yes. Do we have good habits? Yes. How do you guys think that we formulate, do we formate good or bad habits? What happens? How this thing gets formed? We have like good ones and bad ones. How they get formed? Anybody have an idea?
I think it's
Circumstances?
Yes.
Repetition, okay, practice, okay. So let's take a look on this definition. Sorry for the handwriting. But a habit, it's a routine of behavior that is repeated regularly and tends to occur subconsciously. That's very important, very important. We are not always aware of our bad habits, okay? So if we're talking tonight, you guys, the first thing you guys will have to work on yourself is to identify your bad habits, because it's not easy to identify. Why? Because when we do something, like every time we put our mind together to do something, our mind works very hard to achieve whatever it is that we need to do. Let's see, for an example, like driving a car, right? The first time we're driving a car, we work so hard to, well, in Brazil, everybody learns how to drive with the sticks, you know? And it's so hard. You have to pay attention. You have to let it go of the one pedal. So, and then you have exactly the right time. So you have to think about what's the right moment for you to do the second shift, and so goes on. But then when you learn, you don't even think about it anymore. Okay? Same thing with learning how to bicycle. Yes, exactly. You always insecure, you always thinking of what you do, but at the moment that you realize that you know how to do things, and then you don't have to think about that anymore. So what happened is you don't analyze the process of riding a bike anymore. You don't analyze the process of driving a car anymore. So when you develop a habit, you usually don't analyze anymore. And that's the problem. And that's what it makes it really difficult to overcome, because usually you don't even see it. So how can you see that you have a bad habit? Usually you have to ask, someone can tell you if you are okay with criticism, which you don't accept it anyways. Okay? So usually the ones that has more contact with us are able to give us a hint of our bad habits, because we don't analyze, and we don't analyze for a reason, and then it becomes difficult. Somebody else will have to tell us, or if we don't have anybody to tell us, we have to pay a lot of attention on our behavior and our emotion to realize, and then get out of the autopilot to realize that we do have something that we need to work it on it, which is a very bad habit. So the American Journal of Psychology defines a habits from the standard point of psychology as a more or less fixed way of thinking, willing or feeling acquired to previous repetition of the mental experience. So it is repetition. So one thing happens to us and then repeats and then repeat. It doesn't take long to become a habit, guys. It doesn't take long. The same way that when we drive a car, it doesn't take that long for us to learn and to get everything. Same thing with the habits, okay? It doesn't take that long for you to acquire a bad one or even a good one, okay? Where do I spell? Okay. Habitual behavior often goes unnoticed in person exhibiting because a person does not need to engage in self-analysis when undertaking routine tasks. We talk about this. Habits are sometimes compulsory. New behaviors can become automatically through the process of habit formation. Old habits are hard to break, and new habits are hard to form because of the behavior partners which humans repeat become imprint on the neural pathways. But it's possible to form new habits through repetition. So if you want to form a new habit, what you have to do is repeat that. If you want to have a very good, a nice habit, for an example of meditation, you can become to have a good habit of meditation. In order to do that, you're going to have to do that every day. Because the repetition is what will create the habit. Same thing with exercises. They say, you hate it, but you repeat, and then one time, since it becomes a habit, you're good for life. Because then you're gonna do it. So whoever here meditate will know that if you dedicate your meditation and if it becomes a habit to you, when you don't do it, you feel like something it's missing, okay? It's a good habit. The problem is that we are so easily get into the bad habits, and we usually don't have the discipline to develop the good ones. The system is the same, even for good habits or bad habits. The system is exactly the same. So this is one way for us to see how the habits work. We have a cue, which is a stimulus, we can call, and then we have a routine, and don't forget, then we have the reward. That's very important to realize that even on a bad habit, we have a reward that comes from it. Okay? So, and this time here is a drinking. This just an example. So, what you do, you get a stimulus, you get a stress. Your routine is to deal with stress or anything else. You have the habit, okay, the routine to use alcohol, or could be anything else. It could be weed, it could be any other drugs, but you get a reward from it. What is the reward here in that case? Relaxation. Yes. So you feel tense, and then you get the reward if you're using the alcohol. So if you want to take it away, this bad habit, to overcome this bad habit, you have to change your routine. You have to put something in place. So you have the stimulus, and over here is just an example. You have someone to talk to, someone that will make you relax, and then you have the same reward. You feel good. When it comes to physical habits, like drinking, for an example, that we're not going to focus on this, but when it comes to that, you're going to realize that most of the people that have a drinking problem or a drug problem, and they want to eliminate that or out of their lives without replacing, usually doesn't work. Okay, so the suggestion is, since what else you do? So let's say, for an example, that you have a bad habit to go out to drink after you shift with your friends on Friday nights. And then you realize, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be more spiritual. Whatever the reason is, I'm just giving an example. So what you can do is you can invite one of your friends to go to the gym after work. The gym will also give you the reward. So we usually, for some people, of course, Priscilla, for me it doesn't give me a reward either. But you have to replace it with something that you think you can go out for a library with a friend. That could give you a reward. Whatever it is, you have to figure it out something. I have a very good friend of mine that he's very involved with the AA group. And he told me that he figured it out a few years ago that a lot of the people that used to have the drinking problem, that used to drink, they substitute the drinking and get addicted to porno sites on the internet. And it was huge amount of people that used to be addiction, they have the addiction of drinking, then now they have the addiction of sex on the internet. Yes, they substitute one thing because what they're looking for is the reward. Okay, so just, you know, to give you guys an idea. I'm not going to focus on this, on the physical habits, because I want to go to the moral habits. Okay, to me, this is the most important ones. And I want to ask yourself, what is your moral bad habits? Or good, you can think about that also, good or bad. But let's talk about this. Let's start it with bad habits, bad moral habits. There you go. And that started with that. How does that form? Okay, let's talk about gossip. That is one of the examples here. Usually this is what it is. You get hurt for anybody that says something to you, or you heard, or whatever it is, the reason that you did, okay? And then your routine to deal that when somebody is hurting you, what you do is you gossip about that person. This is how you deal with that frustration. This is how you deal with that feeling. And then, why? What is the reward that you get? You hurt the other person's image. Think about that. You always get a reward. No matter how bad is your bad habits, you get something from it. That's why you do it. If you don't realize that, you're not going to work on this. You're not going to be able to work on this. Because you're going to try to stop something and you're going to be doing, for the wrong reasons. So you do get a reward when you gossip. You do get it. You do get it. You are trying to hurt the other people's image, and that makes you feel good. Okay? So if that person, hurt you in one other way, you're going to go, you're going to gossip, you're going to call Steve and talk about it. Then you're going to call Francisco and talk about it. The reason is because you're looking for a reward. And this is the reward that you think you get when you gossip. Okay? You think you get when you gossip. The same way for the example of drinking. You're thinking there's other ways to get the relaxation, and then when it comes to a habit of drinking too much, and then there's a lot of problems in life, and you realize that actually you can use other methods of relaxation besides drinking. This can give you a lot of problems. A lot of problems. I was listening to, I told you guys this before, but I was listening to a speech the other day, and the guy told me that who killed Jesus was gossip. And it's true. Gossip killed Jesus. It's very, very strong bad habit that we have. Bad habit that we have. And it's a moral one. It's a moral one because it can cause a lot of damage. It can cause a lot of damage to other people. And it can cause a lot of damage to yourself also. My grandma used to do a lot of speeches and gossip. She was a specialist on this, and she used to say that the human being have this weapon, and the weapon is the tongue. And this weapon can do a lot of bad things. It can do good things too, but when you use it to gossip, it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy everywhere you go. And now let me tell you this. Do we have a habit of doing this? Yes, we do. Families. Get family together. You have a sister, one leaves, the other two sisters are talking about the one that leaves, or the brothers. There's always something. There's always something. There's always something to talk about the other people. We have to realize that we do it because when we hurt the image of others, we think that we look better. We think we look better. That's the only reason we do it. There is no other way. Okay? So let's go for another one. And then we'll talk about here. Same thing. You get hurt and you use isolation. You don't want to talk to anybody. You want to go to your room. You want to do this. And what is the reward? You become the victim. And people like this feeling. Okay? Patting, victims. Why do we like this? Anybody knows?
Takes responsibility off.
Yes, and that too. It takes the responsibility out of you. When you feel that you are a victim, it's not your fault. So you like this because as long as that you become a victim, you don't have to deal with your responsibilities. You don't. So this is the reward. This is the reward that you get. I am going to be here. I'm going to feel sorry about myself. The world is a bad place. Feel coitadinho de mim, né? I don't know. You say the poor me, né? Poor me, and they did this to me, they did that, they did this, and look at me. And then I feel bad about myself. I feel better. I have the reward that I was looking for. And then I can get what Natalia says too. I can do the same thing and get people's attention. And then I wanted the attention. The reward is when I get the attention from people. Okay? When we talk about habits, it's so complicated because we just giving you an example. Because every human being is a different universe. And everybody will react and form habits for their different reasons. So you have to figure it out on your own. What is the bad habits and what is the reward that you're getting? I'm just giving you an example here, but it could be so much more than this. I'm trying to simplify something that is not very simple. Okay? So I'm not saying that everybody that becomes a victim in isolation. No, sometimes a person becomes a victim and they still do whatever the activities that they are, but they feel sorry for themselves. And they want other people to feel sorry for them. That's another scenario. Okay? But let me ask you this. You don't have to answer. Think about it. What is your habit? What do you do when somebody hurts you? What do you do? You get mad, and then what? You gossip. This is how the routine. You gossip. You use aggression. What is it? You get mad. Yes, that's one emotion that you get it from. But how do you deal with that emotion? Now listen, every single habit, let's talk about this, has a psychological reason behind it. We don't do it just because we do it. So this victim thing is happened when you were a child. And then your mother says something that hurt your feelings, your father, your teacher, your brother, your sister, somebody did it. And then what you did is you went to bed, and then you lock yourself in a room, and all of a sudden your dad or your mom came in. Oh, honey, what was wrong with you? You know? And then, come here, let me hug you. Oh, don't do. And you like the attention. So it happens once. You are smart. You go, ooh, this is good. This feels good. I like that. And then when somebody else hurts your feeling, you do the same thing. And then you do the same thing. And then you do this and you don't even know why you do it anymore. It became a habit. So every time that somebody got hurt you, you have a path. That's the same way you reacted. Every single time, you're going to react the same way. Unless you do a work, discover yourself, and change that. So right now, I want you to think about this. You don't have to tell me, but I want you to think about that when you got hurt, okay, what do you do? What is your routine? And what is your reward? Think about that. You know why? Because you're going to have to change it. You're going to have to change it. And then when you get hurt, you already know the path of autopilot that you usually do. The first thing you do, you have to realize that. I get hurt. My tendency is to do this, do that, and do that. My tendency is to gossip, to do this, or do that. This is my tendency. But I want to grow. I want to change. So I have to do things differently. Who can give me an idea that if you get hurt, who can give me a better idea than how to deal with that pain?
Well, I like to challenge people when they're going to my bad habits.
No, if you get hurt, let's see that I say something to you that I hurt your feelings. What is a better way for you?
So that's what I'm saying. I challenge people. So now I should stop and challenge and listen what they have to say to try to change my process and stuff.
Okay, and what about you, Cynthia?
I stop and think, why did that hurt me?
Okay.
Why in my life, on my daily basis, why am I doing, where am I doing exactly the same thing that now when someone did to me, I get hurt. So
Awesome.
why is this hurting me, or why is this irritating me, or why am I so upset? Why is the reason? Where?
Okay,
Where does it come from?
that's awesome. And then what could be a good routine for that?
Well, first of all, I never act when I am irritated or angry, but I bring this into mind. I don't deny it, and I want to see it. I really want to see it. Why is this causing me hurt and irritation? And then I stay with it for a while until I can grasp an idea or I can feel it.
But you're looking for reward. So what can you do?
The reward to me would be to be at peace with myself and to find out why is this hurting me, because I know it's
So-
not outside. I know
So
it's not with
if
the
you find why is it hurting you, and then you get the reward to have the peace with yourself. Is that it?
No, there are many things that I can do.
Uh-huh.
And if I am upset, I like to do some kind of exercise. I like to go for a walk, or I'd like to play the guitar, or I like to meditate.
Okay,
do
that's
something.
good. But
But
those,
that's the reward, right?
yes,
Okay.
exactly. Those are the rewards.
I think it would be, before that will be the understanding. Why I am reacting like that.
Exactly. Okay.
Understanding myself.
Understanding yourself, why is it hurting, for
Yes,
what, and
yes.
all the reasons. Huh? Your system, you always looking for a reward.
The reward is to be at
To be in peace with yourself, because at the moment that somebody hurts you, or at the moment that something happens, right there you lost your peace.
Yes.
Gossip, you get mad, you gossip,
Yes.
you curse, you do
Exactly.
whatever, because it fulfills
Try not
you.
Exactly. Usually that's what you do. The idea is for you to do differently. The idea is for you to, because this becomes a bad habit. This is how you deal with people. Like sometimes, for an example, if you're coming from a family with lots of brothers and sisters, at the moment that you get hurt once, then you're going to do what? You're going to use what? Your aggression, because that's how you're going to defend yourself through all the family members that you have. Today, you can still do the same thing because it became a habit.
Yeah.
So how do you do with this? Because not everybody use isolation and become a victim
The
when they
first
got
one,
hurt.
it's like more like an animal reaction, and the other one, it's like a rational.
Mm-hmm.
You go with the thinking, understanding, and it's more.
You
using the
get
intelligence.
off only the instinct part, okay? Because we can be a spiritual being, or we can be a material being. You know, for us to be a spiritual being, we're going to have to overcome all this eventually. And we're only going to be able to overcome all this when we are able to understand how the system works. And we don't have to be engaged on the same bad habits all over and over and over and over again. We can do something, and that's what the whole thing is all about. Priscilla.
Something that I've learned is that every behavior has a reward behind for the person that is acting.
Yeah.
So in the case of the gossip, is the feeling that I'm feeling good about the other person image being broken or something.
Yeah.
But even when someone steals someone else or kills someone else, maybe they need the money to save their mother that is in hospital. It's not wrong to want the mother to get better. However, the behavior is the problem. So when you ask me what happened, mostly I react defending myself, but I already developed the behavior of looking from the outside, seeing something
Like Cynthia was doing.
feel like what actually upsets me about it and what can I change about it, because it's something that upsets me, or what the person wanted to achieve, which kind of reward the person wanted to achieve when they hurt me or upset me.
Exactly.
So
So
try to do that. Sometimes we still instinctively act like react, but mostly
you need to, because it brings those bad habits, the moral habits, it also brings a lot of problems, a lot of situation, and a lot of difficulties of relationship for ourselves. This is exactly what happens. You say,
I just wanted to add something to what Cynthia was saying, trying to discover why I felt like that. Well, I also noticed that a lot of times when somebody hurts me, I have a part to play in that. So if I kind of look at that resentment that I'm starting to build against that person, I'm in this mode of, I'm being selfish, and I'm feeling like a victim. So if I can, like she said, step back a second and see what role did I actually play in that interaction, I can apply empathy. And so if I can do that, I kind of get out of myself a little bit. I can see a little more objectively the situation. That automatically is going to diffuse a little bit what I'm so angry about or so.
exactly.
Like a victim.
But what you brought a good point, that is build out the resentment, towards other people. So one way to deal with that, it's also to use forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? It's the exercise of forgiveness. There is no other way that we're going to be able to forgive everybody if we don't exercise. If that does not become a habit in our lives, we're not going to be able to forgive ever. Aristotle used to say that a man is not born with any virtue, but the repetition of the act he will actually become and develop that virtue eventually. So this is it. If you wanted to be able to forgive, you're gonna have to exercise and practice forgiveness every day on your life. And that comes on the traffic, that becomes here at the center, that in your work, no matter what. With your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, with your wife, everywhere. You're always going to have to be. So instead of you, when you're getting hurt, you can see the possibility of the exercise of forgiveness. You will change this path immediately. Immediately. Because you're going to think that you need to exercise your forgiveness. And that won't matter. And think about it. If you forgive, would you gossip? No. Would you become a victim? No. Right? And another thing is, let's talk about when we are afraid. When we are afraid of something, you know what one of the routines that we use? We lie. Okay? Yes?
Please, Yonara, would you define forgiveness for us? What do you mean by
Okay. That everybody will have their own interpretation. I don't have the microphone here. Oh, he repeated the question. She wants to know the definition of forgiveness. Okay? So to me, Yonara, forgiveness is when I am able to not, I'm not going to say allowed, but let's say, for an example, that if I think that you hurt my feelings for any reason, okay, it's okay, I'm human. So my job there is to forgive. Because if I didn't feel anything, I didn't need you to forgive you, right? I have to feel anger, right? I have to feel hurt in order to forgive. Because some people will say, like Gandhi, right? When he got almost killed, did he say, did you forgive who? I didn't forgive because I didn't get mad at them. So for you to be able to forgive, you have to feel first. If you don't feel, you're not going to be able to forgive because you don't need to forgive. Am I with everybody? So if you hurt me and I need to forgive you, I need to be able to understand what you said and feel in peace with you. Then I forgave you. If I'm in peace with you, it means that I forgave you. If I'm not in peace, if every time I remember you, I feel something strange, I have this inside of me, that means that I didn't forgive. So forgiveness to me is peace. It's when you have the status of peace, interior peace. Go ahead, Stan. What is your definition of forgiveness?
forgiveness is when you have forgiven yourself,
Mm-hmm.
forgotten who you are, and then to remember who you are, to remember the first commandment.
Yes,
Know
that
who you
is,
are. Then you're in a position to forgive, because when you get who you are, that's who the other one is.
exactly. That's that's a little bit more on a deeper side, but yes, you need to remember who you are, and then to other. Plus, you need to be able to forgive yourself also from everything that we do, because we do make mistakes also.
When you are hurt,
Mm-hmm.
you've forgotten who you are.
Exactly.
Who you are cannot.
Exactly. So you need to work on that. You need to work on forgiveness. let's go ahead and go to afraid. When you're afraid of something, usually you lie. Why do you lie? Because you want control. One of the aspects. There's other things why you lied. I'm just giving you one example, okay? One example. This is open, okay? It's hard to define everything, but usually you get insecure about something, you get insecure about yourself, you get insecure about who you are, you don't feel that you are that important, so you start to tell a lie. Now, a lie, it's a moral habit, yes. Why this become a habit to you? Because when you were little, once in a while, you thought you were in trouble, and then you lie, and then you worked, and then, whoops, you got the reward. I got the situation under control. Okay? And then it happens the second time, the third time, and then you don't even realize that you're lying. You know what the worst thing that a person that has the habits to lie, the worst thing you can tell them? You're a liar. It's the worst thing you can tell them. If you mention to them, oh, maybe you lie, the person gets, all angry because they don't even know. They don't realize, they don't analyze sometimes because we don't analyze our habits. Some people do. Some people actually believe in their lives and their lies. And that's a true statement. They do. And they get all so angry when you tell them that is not true. It's because they get into the habits, and when it becomes a habit, you don't analyze anymore. At the moment that you do you have a good habits of charity, and if somebody stop with the car, with something was wrong with the car, you immediately stop it and try to help that person. Why? Because helping became a habit. You do it naturally. And of course, you get the reward from it. That it's exactly the feeling good about helping others. Now, if you wanted to feel good about helping people, has to become a habit, and to become a habit, you have to do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a few times until becomes a habit. Okay? So if you wanted to stop the bad habits of lying, in that case, you're going to have to be okay with yourself. And don't be insecure. And don't think that you're less important than anybody else. Because if you think that you're less important, you're going to make up little stories, Oh, what happened? Nothing happened, but you create a story. You create a story. Why? Because you want to feel important. Why do you want to feel important? Because you usually don't feel important yourself. So work on your self-esteem, and a lot of cases, you will be able to stop the lie process. Okay? And then we have another one. What happens to us when we receive criticism? How do we usually react when somebody criticizes your work? Somebody criticizes you. Somebody criticizes your behavior. Somebody criticizes you in any matter. I wanna give you 3 seconds so you can think about it. How do you react to criticism? Think about it. Okay? Okay. Now, usually this is one scenario. We create a story. This is what? Excuses. Okay? This is how we usually deal with this. Oh no, I only did that because of that. And we start to create. And what's the reward that we get? We get a relief. Because we don't want to deal with ourselves. We already create this perfect image of us that if somebody tells us that we're not perfect, oh my God, I get so angry. Oh my God, I create stories. Oh my God, I give so many excuses to that. You know? Because that image that I create, I do not accept my imperfections. Of course, if I don't accept my imperfection, I will never accept the imperfection of others. That's why Jesus says, love your thy neighbor like yourself. Exactly. So what you get with when you create a story, you get a relief and you think, oh, okay, now I don't think that person think that I did that wrong. Now I gave that person that excuse. Now I'm good. I get the reward is the relief. It's the relief. That person, we are so afraid to show ourselves, to show our imperfection to anybody. But the only reason we do that, it's because we don't accept ourselves. We just don't. I want to ask you guys a question. Anger. Anger comes from your body or from your spirit? For the spirit? Okay. Then let me ask you this. If it comes from the spirit, how come you take a Xanax and all of a sudden you're not mad anymore?
Does it trick my mind to think that I'm
Well, the importance is this. You're mad. You take a Xanax and then you're not mad anymore.
PMS comes from the body?
It does. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So you see why people do drugs, why people do drinking, why people do a lot of things? No? Now let me ask you this. If you are a selfish person, how many Xanax can you take it to cure that?
None.
Zero.
None.
Nothing.
They will work.
Do you see, you guys? Yeah. You guys see the difference here? The difference here? When you talk about an emotion, you have to understand what emotional is. What it triggers and where it comes from. Where it comes from is the most important thing. It's the most important thing. So usually when you're angry, when you're angry, it's not the cause. The angry is an effect. And yes, you can deal with Xanax with the effect of your anger. You can take one. It will take the anger away for a while until somebody pisses you off again. Okay? That it can do, you can do it. But if you don't work on the cause of that, and a lot of the things that makes us angry is selfishness. Como é que fala vaidade? Vanity. You can take many Xanax for vanity, drugs, alcohol, it won't work. Vanity is what makes you angry. Selfish is what makes you angry. So it doesn't help if you only try to bring you emotional down and use Xanax, use drinking, or even don't show but hold it. Go inside your room. Those are only reaction. You're not going to deal with the real thing. Those are just little signal. The real things are either the selfish or vanity, one of the others. You can examine. So which is your anger coming from your selfish or is your anger come from your vanity? You tell me. It has to come from any of those. And this is exactly what the spirits of the truth told Kardec. The two worst thing in humanity, vanity and selfishness. Everything comes from that. You want to be a better person, you want to be a happier person, works on your humility, and works on becomes more charitable and less selfish. That would be wonderful. Okay? That would be wonderful. Because all the problems comes from these two sources. So make it easier, guys. Do that, and everything's going to be okay. And how are we supposed to do that? Through exercise. Practice. 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 The one very important point to set is to talk about will. Used to express determination, insistency, persistency, or willfulness. You need to have will to overcome any bad habits that you need. It's not going to be easy. It took you a lot of work to develop that bad habit. Trust me. It didn't come like this. You work on it. Now you have to work to transform that one way or another. Okay? And then I have to run because of the time. Let's talk about thoughts. How our thoughts manipulate us. Okay? We think so much about how other people manipulate us, how the system manipulates us, but we never think about how your thoughts manipulates you. Because a thought is only a suggestion. It's not the truth. And we believe in every single thought that comes through our mind. You approach a person, it's not a good person. It's going to hurt you. It's going to do that to you. It's going to do that. It's going to do that. And then we become exactly this. This is the thoughts. And moving us around like little puppies. You know? Now let me ask you this. Who here believes in telepathy? Do you? Yeah, you do? Okay, so that means that not every thought that comes to your mind is yours. Right? All right. So, how come you believe in everything? Exactly. So, you don't pay attention to your thoughts, and your thought manipulates you. And you become a little puppies. Accepting, listen, there's so many thoughts. Thoughts are waves. There's billions of people from the incarnated world to the disincarnated world and full of waves. People are thinking all the time, and all of a sudden you come this and this wave, and then drives you crazy. Drives you crazy because you believe it. You don't step aside and try to observe this thought and say, my God, this is crazy. This is crazy. This makes no sense. This thought makes no sense. This worry makes no sense. There is a disincarnated being next to you. Let's see for an example. Or inside of the house that you go, and disincarnated, he worries about everything. And all of a sudden you're driving, and then comes a thought that's not yours, it's from him. And you will say, oh, something's going to go wrong. And then you go, oh my God, something's going to go wrong. Oh, what is going to happen? Something bad's going to happen. Puppy of your own thoughts. Manipulated of your own thoughts. You get manipulated of your own thoughts. Okay? And you also get manipulated by your own emotions. Okay? You are one person until you get mad or angry. You transform yourself. And sometimes we become a little monster. We're capable of do horrible things. We're capable of do good things. But sometimes when we are angry, we're capable of do horrible things. Horrible things. True? Why? Because it guides us. Emotion happens, you reaction. Happens, you react to. Happens, you react to the same way, the same way, the same way, the same way, the same way. So, what can we do to become a spiritual being? A spiritual beings are the one that it's not guided by the bad habits of bad emotions or bad thoughts. What do you guys think?
Question 19.
Yeah. Self-knowledge, huh? Mm-hmm.
I think ideally is to put in balance the intellect and the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't let the emotions override the intellect, vice versa. Balance.
Have them balance. It's okay, the intellect and the emotion, but the emotion is stronger than your intellect. You're gonna lose that fight easily.
You have to be able to stop when all this thing going on and try to reflect before you. It's like you keeping in mind, if this happened, let me, for a minute or a second, just stop and just think for 1 second before you just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because human nature is just like as soon as happens, then it's they don't even think it automatically goes like in the autopilot. They don't react. It's just for self-defense. That's how pretty much everybody.
It's a habit. This is how you do it. But in order for you to fix it, the universe is going to give you many opportunities to do that. That's why we get so angry so many times a day or sometimes in a week. Those are chances that you have to do things differently. If you realize that, it's a huge step in your life. The universe, you will attract situations in life that will invite you to do things differently. We are co-creators of life. Everybody knows that. Everybody is exactly in a place where they put yourself in. There's no excuse. There's no victims. Okay? You have to realize that we have to do things differently. That's all. And then when the anger comes, you already know how you react to anger. Right? We talk about it. You guys know what you do? Okay, so just by knowing this and paying attention and wanting to grow, the next time you get angry, you tell yourself, next time I'm going to get angry, I'm not going to act upon it. I'm going to grow from that anger. 1 second, Priscilla. Okay? So you can do this because what happened is we believe in every single thought that goes through our mind. But when we talk about affirmations, oh, that's stupid. Right? You believe in thoughts, you know how thoughts are powerful, but if you want to, affirmation means you create your own thoughts. And affirmation can be helpful. It's not the answer for everything, but it can be helpful. So if I wake up every day and I put the thought, the affirmation, next time, when the life gives me an opportunity to become angry, I will act differently. You tell that few times during the day. And then when the time comes, you will get reminded by your memory. You get a reminder. Hey, shh. Will you listen? Maybe not. Not in the first time, maybe the second, the third time. But usually when you get tired of yourself, it's usually when you don't, we're tired, you don't want to be that person anymore. You really want to change. You get tired of the same mistakes, because after all, who get hurt with all this process? It's just us. We are the ones who are suffering. So you don't want to suffer. You want to be happy, right? So everybody wants to be happy. So in order to be happy, selfishness has to go. Vanity has to go. And people, we all have it. If we are here in this planet, we have this both. Don't tell me, don't embarrass yourself and tell me that you're not a selfish person, that you are not a vanity person. Don't tell me that. Because we all do have it. Go ahead, Priscilla, I have to
I
finish.
just want to use that what you said and just create like an exercise
Uh-huh.
and look back to all the situations that I've been through that got me angry or upset or something, and already imagine what could I've done instead and which reward I would get, because I was missing that part of the reward. I was thinking I could have done different, but I never realized that which reward I was looking for. You know, and now it's closed the puzzle. So it was pretty nice. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
And that would be like,
that is a good exercise, you
So
know,
next
to
time
think
you
that
do
what
anything-
could you be differently. You have to exercise your brain and to be able to practice that and to think about positive things.
Yeah, and it's just that because the brain doesn't understand what is today. Like you watch a movie and you feel scared with a horror movie, like you were there and the movie was recorded like years ago in a different country, and you still feel the same thing because the brain doesn't understand what is real, what is not real.
And the brain doesn't understand also what is a thought and what is a reality. So your brain, it will react it. If you don't do something about it, you will react it upon it. So you have to become, the goal is to become out of this pathway, to become more spiritual and not to allow thoughts and emotion to drive your life. Okay, you have to come out of the autopilot and see things from a different perspective. And every time that you're angry, every time that you're mad, every time that any emotions or guilt is horrible. Okay? Anytime that you have any of this, you know, be careful, work on it, transform that to a nicer feeling. You get the reward to have peace. And that's what we all looking for. We're all looking for peace. At the end, we all want to be happy. At the end, we all have inner peace. That's what we want. We're looking for that. That's why we do bad habits too. Okay? All right. Thank you so much.